Shabbat Shalom. Well, it has been a week. I am sliding into Shabbat with both feet. It's anytime Grindstone deploys, it's a very hectic few days before we leave. Just getting all the volunteers in place, getting all the paperwork in place, all of the things that we need, contacts in the location where we're going, and we're deploying on Monday. So make sure that you keep us in your prayers. Check social media. We'll have flyers out on all the different social media platforms that you can share with your friends. Let people know what's going on, because this is looking like it's going to be pretty harsh. So we're going to need as many people as we can to help get these people taken care of. And anytime we deploy, it takes money. And as much as I hate asking people for money, it's not for me. It is the opportunity for people to bless someone that has been put in harm's way. And so, share what we're doing and pray about it. And if God touches your heart to give, please do. There's no greater blessing. So with all of that said, we're going to go ahead and get into the Torah portion today. The Torah portion is called Beshalach. It's when he sent. It's going to be from Exodus 13 verses 17 through chapter 17 verse 16. That is going to be on page 71 of the scripture. Then we'll go to Judges chapter 4 verse 4 through chapter 5 verse 31, which is the end of the chapter. That'll start on page 257. And Revelation chapter 19 verses 11 through 21, and that is going to be on page 1213. Now, today is July 31st, or the 13th of Shavat, and let's go ahead and turn to page 71 in the scripture and start our reading today. And it came to be, when Pharaoh had let the people go, that Elohim did not lead them by way of the land of the Philistines, though it was nearer, for Elohim said, lest the people regret when they see fighting and return to Mitzrayim. So Elohim led the people around by way of the wilderness of the Sea of Reeds, and the children of Israel went up in fives from the land of Mitzrayim. And Moshe took the bones of Yosef with him, for he certainly made the children of Israel swear, saying, Elohim shall certainly visit you, and you shall bring my bones from here with you. And they departed from Sukkot and camped in Etham, at the edge of the wilderness. And Yahweh went before them by day in a column of cloud to lead the way, and by night in a column of fire to give them light, so as to go by day and night. The column of cloud did not cease by day, nor the column of fire by night before the people. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, speak to the children of Israel, that they turn their encamp before Pi Harithoth, between Migdal and the sea, opposite Baal Zephon, camp before it by the sea. And a quick note, I wanted to look these up because I wasn't sure when I first read this what this was. And Pi Hariath means the mouth of the gorges, and Baal Zephon is the storm god. So once again, God is kind of throwing it in the face of their gods that he is mightier. But picking back up verse 3, for Pharaoh shall say to the children of Israel, they are entangled in the land. The wilderness has closed them in. And I shall strengthen the heart of Pharaoh, and he shall pursue them. But I am to be esteemed through Pharaoh and all his armies. And the Mitzrites shall know that I am Yahweh. And they did so. And it was reported to the sovereign of Mitzrayim that the people had fled, and the heart of Pharaoh and his servants was turned against the people. And they said, why have we done this, that we have let Israel go from serving us? So he made his chariot ready and took his people with him. And he took 600 choice chariots and all the chariots of Mitzrayim with officers over all of them. And Yahweh strengthened the heart of Pharaoh, sovereign of Mitzrayim, and he pursued the children of Israel. But the children of Israel went out defiantly. And the Mitzrites pursued them, and all the horses and chariots of Pharaoh, and his horsemen and his army, and overtook them camping by the sea near Pi Hahiroth, before Baal Zephon. And when Pharaoh drew near, the children of Israel lifted their eyes and saw the Mitzrites, coming up after them, and they were greatly afraid. So the children of Israel cried out to Yahweh, and they said to Moshe, did you take us away to die in the wilderness because there are no burial sites in Mitzrayim? What is this you have done to us to bring us up out of Mitzrayim? Is this not the word that we spoke to you in Mitzrayim, saying, leave us alone, let us serve the Mitzrites? For it would have been better for us to serve the Mitzrites than to die in the wilderness. And Moshe said to the people, do not be afraid. Stand still and see the deliverance of Yahweh, which he does for you today. For the Mitzrites whom you see today, you are never, never to see again. Yahweh does fight for you, and you keep silent. And Yahweh said to Moshe, why do you cry out to me? Speak to the children of Israel and let them go forward. And you lift up your rod and stretch out your hand over the sea and divide it. And let the children of Israel go on dry ground through the midst of the sea. And I am strengthening the heart of the Mitzrites, and they shall follow them. And I am to be esteemed through Pharaoh and over all his army, his chariots, and his horsemen. And the Mitzrites shall know that I am Yahweh, when I am esteemed through Pharaoh, his chariots, and his horsemen. And the messenger of Elohim, who went before the camp of Israel, moved and went behind them, and the column of cloud went from before them and stood behind them, and came between the camp of the Mitzrites and the camp of Israel. And it was the cloud and the darkness, and it gave light by night. And the one did not come near the other all the night. And Moshe stretched out his hand over the sea, and Yahweh caused the sea to go back by a strong east wind all that night, and made the sea into dry land, and the waters were divided. And the children of Israel went into the midst of the sea on dry ground, and the waters were a wall to them on the right and on the left. And the Mitzrites pursued and went after them into the midst of the sea, all the horses of Pharaoh, his chariots, his horsemen. And it came to be in the morning watch that Yahweh looked down upon the army of the Mitzrites, through the columns of fire and cloud and brought the army of the Mitzrites into confusion. And he took off their chariot wheels so that they drove them with difficulty. And the Mitzrites said, "Let us flee from the face of Israel, for Yahweh fights for them against the Mitzrites." Then Yahweh said to Moshe, "Stretch out your hand over the sea and let the waters come back upon the Mitzrites, on their chariots and on their horsemen." And Moshe stretched out his hand over the sea, and the sea returned to its usual flow at the break of day, which the Mitzrites fled into it. Thus Yahweh overthrew the Mitzrites in the midst of the sea, and the waters returned and covered the chariots and the horsemen and all the army of Pharaoh that came into the sea after them, and not even one was left of them. And the children of Israel walked on dry ground in the midst of the sea, and the waters were a wall to them on their right and on their left. Thus Yahweh saved Israel that day out of the hand of the Mitzrayim. And Israel saw the Mitzrites dead on the seashore. And Israel saw the great work which Yahweh had done in Mitzrayim. And the people feared Yahweh and believed Yahweh and his servant Moshe. Then Moshe said to the children of Israel, let me do that again. Then Moshe and the children of Israel sang this song to Yahweh and spoke, saying, "I sing to Yahweh, for he is highly exalted. The horse and the rider he has thrown into the sea. Yah is my strength and song, and he has become my deliverance. He is my El, and I praise him, Elohim of my father, and I exalt him. Yahweh is a man of battle. Yahweh is his name. He has cast Pharaoh's chariots and his army into the sea, and his chosen officers are drowned in the sea of reeds. The depths cover them. They went down to the bottom like a stone. Your right hand, O Yahweh, has become great in power. Your right hand, O Yahweh, has crushed the enemy, and in the greatness of your excellence, you pulled down those who rose up against you. You set forth your wrath. It consumed them like stubble. And with the wind of your nostril, the waters were heaped up. The floods stood like a wall. The depths became stiff in the heart of the sea. The enemy said, "I pursue, I overtake, I divide the spoil. My being is satisfied on them. I draw out my sword, my hand destroys them." You did blow with your wind. The sea covered them. They sank like lead in the mighty waters. Who is like you, O Yahweh, among the mighty ones? Who is like you, great in set apartness, awesome in praises, working wonders? You stretched out your hand, your right hand. The earth swallowed them. In your loving commitment, you led the people whom you have redeemed. In your strength, you guided them to your set-apart dwelling. Peoples heard, they trembled. Anguish gripped the inhabitants of Philistia. Then the chiefs of Edom were troubled. The mighty men of Moab trembling gripped them. All the inhabitants of Canaan melted. Fear and dread fell on them. By the greatness of your arm, they are as silent as a stone until your people pass over, O Yahweh, until the people whom you have bought pass over. You bring them in and plant them in the mountain of your inheritance, in the place, O Yahweh, which you have made for your own dwelling. the set-apart place, O Yahweh, which your hands have prepared. Yahweh reigns forever and ever. For the horses of Pharaoh went with his chariots and his horsemen into the sea. And Yahweh brought back the waters of the sea upon them, and the children of Israel went on dry ground in the midst of the sea. And Miriam the prophetess, the sister of Aharon, took the timbrels in her hand, and all the women went out after her with timbrels and with dances. And Miriam answered them, "Sing to Yahweh, for he is highly exalted. The horse and his rider he has thrown into the sea." And Moshe brought Israel from the Sea of Reeds, and they went out into the wilderness of Shur. And they went 3 days into the wilderness and found no water. And they came to Marah, and there they were unable to drink the waters of Marah, for they were bitter. But the name of it was called Marah. And the people grumbled against Moshe, saying, "What are we to drink?" Then he cried out to Yahweh, and Yahweh showed him a tree. And there he threw it into the water, and the waters were made sweet. There he made a law and a right ruling for them, and there he tried them. And he said, "If you diligently obey the voice of Yahweh, your Elohim, and do what is right in his eyes, and shall listen to his commands, and shall guard all his laws, I shall bring on you none of the diseases I brought on the Mitzrites. For I am Yahweh, who heals you." And they came to Elim, where there were 12 fountains of water and 70 palm trees, and they camped there by the water. And they set out from Elim, and all the congregation of the children of Israel came to the wilderness of Sin, which is between Elim and Sinai, on the 15th day of the second new moon, after their going out of the land of Mitzrayim. And all the congregations of the children of Israel grumbled against Moshe and Aharon in the wilderness. And the children of Israel said to them, "If only we had died in the hands of Yahweh in the land of Mitzrayim, when we sat by the pots of meat, and when we ate bread to satisfaction. For you have brought us out into the wilderness to put all this assembly to death with hunger." And Yahweh said to Moshe, "See, I am raining bread from the heavens for you, and the people shall go out and gather a day's portion every day in order to try them, whether they walk in my Torah or not. And it shall be on the 6th day that they shall prepare what they bring in, and it shall be twice as much as they gather daily." And Moshe and Aharon said to all the children of Israel, "At evening you shall know that Yahweh has brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim, and in the morning you shall see the esteem of Yahweh. For he hears your grumbling against Yahweh. And what are we that you grumble against us?" And Moshe said, "In that Yahweh gives you meat to eat in the evening, and in the morning bread to satisfaction. For Yahweh hears your grumblings which you make against him. And what are we? Your grumblings are not against us, but against Yahweh." And Moshe said to Aharon, "Say to all the congregation of the children of Israel, come near before Yahweh, for he has heard your grumbling." And it came to be, as Aharon spoke to all the congregation of the children of Israel, that they looked toward the wilderness, and see, the esteem of Yahweh appeared in a cloud. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, "I have heard the grumbling of the children of Israel. Speak to them, saying, between the evenings you are to eat meat, and in the morning you are to be satisfied with bread. And you shall know that I am Yahweh your Elohim. And it came to be that quail came up at evening and covered the camp, and in the morning the dew lay all around the camp. And the layer of dew went up, and see, on the surface of the wilderness was a small round substance, as fine as frost on the ground. And the children of Israel saw, and they said to each other, "What is it?" For they did not know what it was. And Moshe said to them, "It is the bread which Yahweh has given you to eat. This is the word which Yahweh has commanded. Let every man gather it according to each man's need, an omer for each being. According to the number of beings, let every man take for those who are in his tent." And the children of Israel did so, and gathered, some more, some less. And they measured it by omers. And he who gathered much did not have too much, and he who gathered little did not have too little. Each one gathered according to his need. And Moshe said, "Let no one leave any of it until morning." And they did not listen to Moshe, for some of them left part of it until morning, and it bred worms and stank. And Moshe was wroth with them. And they gathered it every morning, each one according to his need. And when the sun became hot, it melted. And it came to be on the 6th day that they gathered twice as much bread, 2 omers for each one. And all the rulers of the congregation came and told Moshe. And he said to them, "This is what Yahweh has said. Tomorrow is a rest, a Sabbath set apart to Yahweh. That which you bake, bake. That which you cook, cook. And lay up for yourselves all that is left over, to keep it until morning." And they laid it up till morning, as Moshe commanded. And it did not stink, and no worm was on it. And Moshe said, "Eat it today, for today is a Sabbath to Yahweh. Today you do not find it in the field. Gather it 6 days, but on the 7th day, which is the Sabbath, there is none." And it came to be that some of the people went out on the Sabbath day to gather, but they found none. And Yahweh said to Moshe, "How long shall you refuse to guard my commands and my Torah? See, because Yahweh has given you the Sabbath before he gave you bread for 2 days on the 6th day. Let each one stay in his place. Do not let anyone go out of his place on the 7th day." So the people rested on the 7th day, and the house of Israel called its name Manna. And it was like white coriander seed, and the taste of it was like thin cakes made with honey. And Moshe said, "This is the word which Yahweh has commanded. Fill an omer with it, to keep for your generations, so that they see the bread with which I fed you in the wilderness when I brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim." And Moshe said to Aharon, "Take a pot and put an omer of manna in it, and set it down before Yahweh to keep for your generations." As Yahweh commanded Moshe, so did Aharon set it down before the witness to keep. And the children of Israel ate manna 40 years, until they came to an inhabited land. They ate manna until they came to the border of the land of Canaan. And an omer is 1/10 of an ephah. And all the congregations of the children of Israel set out on their journey from the wilderness of Sin, according to the mouth of Yahweh, and camped in Rephidim, and there was no water for the people to drink. Therefore the people strove with Moshe and said, "Give us water to drink." And Moshe said to them, "Why do you strive with me? Why do you try Yahweh?" And the people thirsted there for water, and the people grumbled against Moshe and said, "Why did you bring us out of Mitzrayim to kill us and our children and our livestock with thirst?" Then Moshe cried out to Yahweh, saying, "What am I to do with this people? Yet a little, and they shall stone me." And Yahweh said to Moshe, "Pass over before the people, and take with you some of the elders of Israel, and take in your hand your rod with which you struck the river, and go. See, I am standing before you there on the rock of Horeb, and you shall strike the rock, and water shall come out of it, and the people shall drink." And Moshe did so before the eyes of the elders of Israel. He called the name of the place Massah and Meribah, because of the strife of the children of Israel, and because they tried Yahweh, saying, "Is Yahweh in our midst or not?" And Amalek came and fought with Israel in Rephidim. And Moshe said to Yehoshua, "Choose for us men and go out, fight with Amalek. Tomorrow I am stationing myself at the top of the hill with the rod of Elohim in my hand." And Joshua did as Moshe said to him, to fight with Amalek. And Moshe, Aharon, and Hur went up to the top of the hill. And it came to be, when Moshe held up his hand, that Israel prevailed. And when he let his hand down, Amalek prevailed. But Moshe's hands were heavy, so they took a stone and placed it under him, and he sat on it. And Aharon and Hur supported his hands, one on one side, and the other on the other side. And his hands were steady until the going down of the sun. And Yehoshua defeated Amalek and his people with the edge of the sword. And Yahweh said to Moshe, "Write this for a remembrance in the book, and recite it in the hearing of Yehoshua, that I shall completely blot out the remembrance of Amalek from under the heavens." And Moshe built a slaughter place and called its name Yahweh Nisi. For he said, "Because the hand is on the throne of Yahweh, Yahweh is to fight against Amalek from generation to generation." Now let's move over to Judges, starting chapter 4, page 257. And we're going to read through to the end of chapter 5. And Deborah, a prophetess, the wife of Lapidoth, was ruling Israel at that time. And she was dwelling under the palm tree of Deborah between Ramah and Bethel in the mountains of Ephraim. And the children of Israel came up to her for right rulings. And she sent and called for Barak, son of Abinoam, from Kadesh in Naphtali, and said to him, "Has not Yahweh Elohim of Israel commanded, Go, and you shall draw towards Mount Tabor, and shall take with you 10,000 men of the sons of Naphtali and of the sons of Zebulun. And I shall draw unto you Sisera, the commander of Jabin's army, with his chariots and his company at the Wadi Kishon, and shall give him into your hands." And Barak said to her, "If you go with me, I shall go. But if you do not go with me, I do not go. And she said, I shall certainly go with you, only there shall be no esteem for you in the journey. You are taking, for Yahweh is going to sell Sisera into the hands of a woman. So Deborah arose and went with Barak to Kadesh. And Barak called Zebulun and Naphtali to Kadesh, and he went up 10,000 men under his command, and Deborah went up with him. And Heber the Canaanite of the children of Hobab, the father-in-law of Moshe, had separated him from the Canaanites and pitched his tent near the terebinth tree at Zaanayim, which is beside Kadesh. And they reported to Sisera that Barak, son of Abinoam, had gone up to Mount Tabor. And Sisera called all the chariots, 900 chariots of iron, and all the people who were with him from Haroseth Hagayoim to the Wadi Kishon. And Deborah said to Barak, Rise up, for this is the day in which Yahweh is giving Sisera into your hand. Has not Yahweh gone out before you? And Barak went down from Mount Tabor with 10,000 men after him. And Yahweh destroyed Sisera and all his chariots and all his army with the edge of the sword before Barak. And Sisera leaped from his chariot and fled away on foot. But Barak pursued the chariot and the army as far as Harosheth Hagoyim. And all the armies of Sisera fell by the edge of the sword. Not one was left. Sisera, meanwhile, had fled on foot to the tent of Yael, the wife of Heber the Canaanite. For there was peace between Jabin, sovereign of Hatzor, and the house of Heber the Canaanite. And Yael went out to meet Sisera and said to him, Turn aside, my master. Turn aside to me. Do not fear. So he turned aside with her into the tent, and she covered him with a blanket. And he said to her, Please give me a little water to drink, for I am thirsty. So she opened a bottle of milk and gave him a drink and covered him. And she said to him, and he said to her, Stand at the door of the tent, and it shall be, if anyone comes and asks you and says, Is there a man here? You shall say no. But Yael, Heber's wife, took a tent peg and took a hammer in her hand and went softly to him and drove the tent peg into the side of his head, and it went down into the ground, for he was fast asleep and exhausted, and he died. And see, as Barak pursued Sisera, Yael came out to meet him, and she said to him, Come, let me show you the man whom you are seeking. And when he went into her tent, there lay Sisera, dead, with a peg in the side of his head. And on that day Elohim humbled Jabin, sovereign of Canaan, in the presence of the children of Israel, and the hand of the children of Israel grew stronger and stronger against Jabin, sovereign of Canaan, until they cut off Jabin, sovereign of Canaan. And on that day Deborah and Barak, son of Abinoam, sang, saying, For leaders leading in Israel, for the people volunteering, bless Yahweh. Hear, O sovereigns, give ear, O princes. I do sing to Yahweh. I sing praises to Yahweh, Elohim of Israel. Yahweh, when you went out from Seir, when you stepped from the fields of Edom, the earth shook and the heavens poured. The clouds also poured water. The mountains flowed at the presence of Yahweh. This Sinai, at the presence of Yahweh, Elohim of Israel. In the days of Shamgar, the son of Anath, in the days of Yael, the highways were deserted, and the travelers went in crooked ways. Leadership ceased. It ceased in Israel until I, Deborah, arose. A mother in Israel arose. They chose new mighty ones. Then fighting was in the gates. Neither a shield nor spear was seen among 40,000 in Israel. My heart is toward the inscribers of Israel, the volunteers among the people. Bless Yahweh. You who ride on white donkeys, you who sit on rich carpets, and you who walk along the way, declare it. By the voice of shouters between the places of drawing water, there they recounted the righteous acts of Yahweh, the righteous acts of his leadership in Israel, when the people of Yahweh shall go down to the gates. Wake up, Deborah, wake up, sing a song. Arise, Barak, and lead your captives away, O son of Abinoam. Then he set the remnant to rule the nobles. Yahweh came down from me against the mighty ones. Out of Ephraim their root is against Amalek. After you, Benjamin, with your peoples, out of Machir, inscribers came down, and out of Zebulun, those who handle the scribe's need. And the heads of Issachar were with Deborah, and as Issachar, so was Barak sent into the valley under his command. Among the divisions of Reuben, there were great searchings of heart. Why did you remain among the sheepfold to hear the bleating of the flocks? The divisions of Reuben have great searching of heart. I love that story of Rahel. We're going to go now to Revelation. Let's see, chapter 19, which starts on page 1213. I'm going to read verses 11 to 21. Excuse me. And I saw the heavens open, and there was a white horse, and he who sat on him was called Trustworthy and True, and in righteousness he judges and fights. And his eyes were like a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns, having a name that had been written, which no one had perceived except him. And having been dressed in a robe dripped in blood, and his name is called the Word of Yahweh. And the armies in the heavens, dressed in fine linen, white and clean, followed him on white horses. And out of his mouth goes a sharp sword, that with it he should smite the nations, and he shall shepherd them with a rod of iron. And he treads the winepress of the fierceness and wrath of El Shaddai. And on his robe and on his thigh he has a name written, Sovereign of Sovereigns and Master of Masters. And I saw one messenger standing in the sun, and he cried with a loud voice, saying to all the birds that fly in mid-heaven, Come and gather together for the supper of the great Elohim, to eat the flesh of sovereigns, and the flesh of commanders, and the flesh of strong ones, and the flesh of horses, and of those who sit on them, and the flesh of all people, free and slave, both small and great. And I saw the beast And the sovereigns of the earth and their armies gathered together to fight him who had sat on the horse and his army. And the beast was seized, and with him the false prophet who worked signs in his presence, by which he led astray those who received the mark of the beast and those who worshipped his image. The two were thrown alive into the lake of fire, burning with sulfur, and the rest were killed with the sword which came from the mouth of him who sat on the horse, and all the birds were filled with their flesh. Shabbat Shalom.